Okay, so today I wanted to talk about equality. Equality is something that America was originally built on. It was built on freedoms. People came over here seeking spiritual and religious freedoms. They sought a new place to pray, worship, and be themselves. They also sought to get out of taxation without representation that had grown, well, we'll say illegal representation, that had grown out of control in Europe. At least 3 countries that I know of, but probably 4, contributed to the 3 ships, including Spain, of course, as the ships were named. The Pinta. Spanish names. One was not pirated. One was piloted or steered by a Spanish captain. He was mixed with white European and therefore could blend in. And one was Portuguese and French, and the other was Columbus. We had at least 15 different countries represented on those 3 ships. And one was not from Europe. One actually came from across the sea, which would be considered the Middle East. They looked like tan. Their mother was Italian, I believe. So it was someone from the Middle East and an Italian mother, and they had 2 children, so it was a family. They couldn't stay in the Middle East as they were. It was causing too much controversy. So they also got aboard one of the ships. There were at least 4 stowaways. One died during the travels. At least one of them was female and dressed like a male, kind of like in Pirates of the Caribbean. And let me see here. So basically, okay, the world was flat, right? That's what everybody said they were crazy. They were going to go off the edge of the world because the new world wasn't known. All of their maps said like the world ended here. So you had Asia, Russia and Eastern Europe, you had the Middle East, and you had Africa, you had Australia, and you had Japan, which was semi-known, but not very known at that time. They did not know about Hawaii at that time, and they didn't know about the whole world on this side. What is interesting is that there was not many people up towards the upper corner of Russia or the USSR back then, so because of the weather and the cold, so they didn't really know about, you think how close they are with the Yucatan Peninsula, and but that was the edge of the world. So they were looked at as voyagers, trying to discover somewhere, but mostly people were like, we're never going to see them again. They're probably going to die. And if they don't die trying to find this place, ships get capsized, storms, everything else. They only have so many supplies. So it was basically ventured as a suicide mission, which means there were those that went that were hopeful, but there were those that were, at least 4 were granted pardons to go on the trip, to get 2 were out of England to get them out of their hair. They were causing trouble in the what was then jail. One of them had a rich aunt or uncle who was listening to them. They shouldn't have been in jail. It was like a third cousin who actually committed the crime who looked like them, which was causing big problems. So to resolve that and resolve issues with the family, they said, well, we'll pardon them, but they have to leave. So it's just really interesting that, you know, people participated in this venture and, you know, gave to this venture for so many different reasons. And it was an act of sheer will, you know, to venture off into the world when everyone is saying that you're crazy, but you are following your heart, you're following your soul, and you're following what you feel is your destiny. And what could lead to, you know, your freedom and other people's freedoms. And, you know, a new place to start new. Where you could establish a new government, new laws, new towns, new ways. There were at least 4 different races. At least 2 were African American, or not American, I'm like African at that time. So I think 1 was maybe mixed. So maybe like a lighter skin, mixed race, and they were taken on as servants. You know, I'm all like, one of them was taken because they were going to be set free. So, which was, unknown to who was sending them off. So they appeared as servants. But some people already believed in race not being something that people should be judged on. So this was back in what, the 1600s? But the venture had first been proposed in the 1500s to go exploring. Someone did leave in like 1543 to go exploring. They came back with about half their crew, and I think they reached maybe Nova Scotia, or maybe it was Eastland or Greenland, but everything was kind of a feverish, you know, tale of fantasy or something, you know, like they just didn't believe that there was someplace new or undiscovered or whatever. But it was that trip and that, like, 1 diary was considered and 1 was journal, that led to Columbus discovering one of them in 1619, I think, somewhere around there. And that is when he was like, he was a boy. It was, I think, the sea captain's journal. I'm all like, that is when he was a very young boy. I'm all like, and what, like 6 or 7 maybe? Had been learning to read stuff for about 2.5 years, and came across this in a chest in a relative's attic. His reading that, that young led him to long for the seas and long for voyage and long to find somewhere new and to try and either rediscover that place or discover someplace else. So everything, you know, comes to a head in 1637, with him starting to pitch for this voyage, which didn't get approved till much later. And fully approved, we'll say. Everybody wants new. I'm all like, but you're talking about a lot of people, a lot of resources, ships, and possibly some people that they didn't want to leave. People that one was definitely viewed as a leader in Parliament at the time, and a visionary, but they wanted to keep the visionary there. So the whole thing is that America was founded on freedoms. Okay? They came here, they landed, they met Native Americans, and they broke bread with them. They got along and had to learn from them about the weather and the land and the differences and similarities, and try to learn the language and culture of each other. It wasn't until about 7 years after they landed that problems started to happen. And the problems started to happen because another ship came up the shore, up north, more towards Maine, because they landed more like Delaware-ish, I'm all like New Jersey-ish, and I mean, it was, the land was a bit different than, I'm all like, but, so that ship landed, they didn't know the customs, the people, the anything, and they came from somewhere different with a different purpose. But the Native Americans who were up there, who were from a different tribe, had at least 3 of them had met the white people and other peoples down here. And so there was this trust that was there that, you know, if the new settlers who had come and been there for some years had known, would have said, please don't trust anyone else, because we don't know who's coming after us. We don't know what they're about. Just because they look like us doesn't mean that they are us, or that they believe in what we believe in, or that they left for the same reasons. Thanksgiving is coming up. It's one of my favorite holidays. It's my second favorite holiday because it involves gratitude. Gratitude, I'm all like, and we're gonna stay in between Halloween and Dia de los Muertos is going to be National Hygge Day, which is also about gratitude, friendship, love, caring, which you should look it up, H-Y-G-G-E. It's a Danish thing. It's the bomb, and I've talked about it before. There are books on it. It talks about lighting, about friendship, about cooking. Let's just appreciate what we have. I'm all like, no matter where you live, no matter who you are, there are things or people or animals or something there to appreciate and give thanks for, and just you know, sometimes it's hard to have gratitude to be alive. When there's suffering, when there's pain, and there's always something to be thankful for. Even if it's electricity or water, or even if it's, I'm kind of doing something, hon. I'm all like, even if it's a person, I'm all like, or your dog or your cat, there's always something. You can be thankful that there's sunlight today. I'm all like, because sunlight does what? Gives you vitamin D, makes you happier, it grows things. I'm all like, imagine if we lived in a dark world. So there's always something. So if you can say thanks for one thing every day, I swear it will change your life.